Hallie, you would better understand, like, what 3 long-form radio shows. Like, I mean,
It's brutal. It's too much.
It is. It's too much. Let's say goodbye while we can. Hopefully Blitz has got us up and running. I think he is. I'm going to check the Facebook feed right now. I think Brian is on the... Yep, there we are.
We're on YouTube. Yeah. We're live.
Well, by the way, this... I'm right, you're wrong, we're screwed. There's not too much right left. That's what the show's been renamed. I'm right, you're wrong, we're screwed, but there's not a lot of right in here. You can always call in, 813-90-BUBBA, and unless you're some guy fucking with Brent and you have no life. Just legitimate calls only. But we can take some phone calls. 3 things right off the top. Of which I don't know if you guys are familiar with. Brian, I think Brent is probably familiar with. Well, we're all familiar with that. Nick Cruz just skirted the death penalty.
Yes.
I think that just literally just came down.
Yes, because Florida now, a jury has to give you death. A judge can't.
The jury has to recommend it, and then the judge affirms it. Is the way it works. But since in this case they found that the mitigating factors outweighed the aggravating factors, then it doesn't even go to the judge. He'll get life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Speaking of which. Is it now? I know, Brian, you've seen probably far more judges than me, but Hatley, you and I, unfortunately, have seen our likes of a lot of judges. And is she a fucking smoke show or what?
If you Google hot judge, her photo's the first thing that comes up.
You know what? As it should.
She is so hot.
Oh my God! If I was her, I would say in this after she hands down the deal, she would say, "I will be quitting my job and being on OnlyFans, kicking it out wide tomorrow."
Exactly.
With hot judge running wild.
She would make millions.
Oh my God.
She'd make millions.
Now, Brian, will she be able to, one, because she's hot, but, and she's just she's very hot. But 2, as the judge, do you have the ability to grant interviews if you're a sitting judge, not a retired one? Now, I know the jury can go out and talk, right? In fact, probably some of her instructions will be, because I've heard it many times before, thank you for your service. It's people like you that sit through long things like this that make up the great system that we have, and you're to be commended, and I'm now releasing you of your jury duties. You can, if you would like, to speak to the media. It's your right. You also have the right to be quiet and not say anything, but you're free to come and go as you want, including, but not limited to speaking to the media about this particular case. Do they not say something like that, Brian?
Yeah.
And how many of these jurors will talk, do you think? I think all of them will.
I can't stop thinking about what she looks like in a thong.
I can't think about her sniz.
Some of them don't. Some of them don't want to be bothered, but I think a lot of them will.
Now, does she have the right to speak?
She can. Yeah, she can speak on it. She just needs to be careful and make sure it's within the canons and the guidelines for ethical behavior by a judge.
She couldn't get paid for it, though, right?
I don't think there's a I don't know what the rules are with the JQC.
I don't know the JQC
now,
rules.
Now, they could,
that.
though. The jurors could, right? Could they write a book?
Absolutely.
They
absolutely.
could.
I don't know that anybody is going to care that much about what a juror on this trial has to say. I get that people...
No, hold on. There's far more money in this verdict than the death verdict.
Nobody's reading a book on the Parkland jury. I don't see the market for that. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not a book publisher. Maybe a one-off interview.
There may not be a book deal, but there's certainly a CBS 60 Minutes fucking $5,000 or $10,000 payday. I promise you that.
That's about it. That's about all it deserves.
And because they're going to want to know what the initial score was out of 12. Right? How many? They're going to take us inside the courtroom. And Jerry McGillicuddy will be like, well, I'll just tell you right now, it was 8-3 or 8-4.
You know who's going to be more interested is going to be the pro-death penalty type media. That's who's going to be interested in how the jury came to this.
I know, but the first question they're going to ask a potential jury that does grant that interview is so who are the holdouts?
Yep.
How many of them wanted the death penalty, and how many of them, and why did it get because in my opinion, we're not allowed to see the jury, but in my opinion, there had to be somebody of the 12. There had to be a couple that wanted it.
Yeah, statistically,
it was probably 10-2 or 11-1.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's why it went 3 days. Blitz, Blitz was right. When it goes 3 days, you're not getting. You got a holdout. Something like this is 6 hours. Let's go over it all. Maybe a day and a half. It's not 3 days.
What you probably got was one, maybe two people on the jury that are just staunch anti-death penalty no matter what, and said, listen, I'm not going to budge so we can sit here for days. And most people are like, listen, I gotta
go to work. I
gotta
get
back to life, whatever, put this guy in prison for the rest of his life. See you later.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and they weren't just going to sit there and
they're not going to sit there and
each
wait
other for a week.
So as attorney,
it's not guilt or innocence. It's why sit there and waste your time.
Brent and I were discussing this briefly out in the lobby there, and if I putting myself, because I obviously have a young daughter, and putting myself in the parent's shoes, I don't even know that I would be there today. I don't know that this matters to me, whether or not he dies rotting in a prison cell or dies from lethal injection or dies. I'm not giving this kid another ounce of my emotion, my time, my attention. Nothing that the jury's going to do at this point is going to bring my child back. And I would actually be out today doing something celebrating the life of my daughter. Now, I'm not questioning the way they're handling it, because everybody is going to handle it their own way. But in thinking about how would I handle this, I don't know that I would be there. I don't know that I would be there because
I was thinking the same thing. I'd be like, you know what? I appreciate those that want to be there. But I'm going to be able to find out the information as how this is ruled by not having to be there.
Right. And having to hear and seeing that one father, like tense up and shake and for what? For what? You had no control in this. Okay? What's done is done. Celebrate, we saw the big tattoo on it in the mother's arm. The girl likes soccer.
Appreciate that.
Go do something to celebrate as a family your daughter, her memory, and don't let this killer get you again. Like, don't give him that power over you. He's fucking done. He's a piece of shit. He's a terrible. He's not even. I won't even call him a human being. He's subhuman.
I would have Kool-Aided through the fucking gates and stabbed him in the neck, and nobody would have ever charged me for shit.
Well,
you know what? Good luck getting any jury to convict you for that.
Especially down there in that
one.
lib area. I mean, they're about as lib as that's about as blue as you get. That's purple down there, ain't it?
Well, it just depends on the
purple is what they describe an area that's half red, half blue.
It depends on the county.
Purple.
A lot of Cubans.
Like the hot chick on the far left.
A lot of Cubans are really conservative. So.
Well, anyway, a Nicolas Cage cruise is going to get life in prison. He's going to be up there at Stark or Rayford or something like that.
Yep. And he'll be, you know what, he better not be in an ad seg. Put him in Gen Pop.
Will he get Jeffrey Dahmer?
Oh, most likely.
Did anybody see the Jeffrey Dahmer series?
I've watched episode 1. I just don't like the way it's edited. It's just, they drag it out so much.
They do, but hold on. They do, but man, if you can get through one, Brent, it then really they start piecing it together.
Okay.
And I think you'll like it, and you know what you'll like about it is how fucking gruesome it is and how real to life. Like, they don't hold back.
Okay.
Like, they do not hold back when it caused for him to drill a hole in a guy's brain and put acid down his brain because he thought he would make the guy a zombie.
Yeah.
He does it.
Okay. I'll move on to episode 2, because episode 1 I was like, gosh, they are just
I think you'll like it. But then, man, if they just would have listened to old girl who was the neighbor, this African-American woman.
Yes.
And I'll tell you one thing, the city of Milwaukee, when they're handing out, money, they should have given her a whole pile full of money.
I agree.
Because she knew and she tried like hell and was the only person really in the community was like, why in the hell she called like, I think 55 documented phone calls.
Yep. Yeah, she did.
55.
She did, and she was on it, and that goes to a larger point even in our society, is how it's just not that they're hated on, but black women are dismissed and not taken seriously a lot of times, and they're right about a lot of stuff. I
gotta tell you about black women. It's my ultimate bucket list to be with one, and I have not achieved that yet.
You don't have the swag, man.
You know what? I may have lost
back
that
in the
swag.
day. You had it. I don't think you have it anymore.
You know what? My window of being with a hot, cool African American woman may have closed. Brian, I hate to co-sign on your negativity, but sometimes you say it like it is, my friend. I may have to own that, kid.
Yeah, I don't think I could at this point. I don't.
Well, you never could. You never had
dude,
I
had some game.
Brian, you
I didn't
never
have Bubba
had
swag.
my kind of game, bitch.
Dude, I had some game though.
You didn't have the kind of game where meet me out to the airport, let's go up on my private plane and go to the Bahamas and fuck in the suite. You didn't have that, buddy.
Didn't have that. Didn't need it. I was able to pull without that level of game.
Yeah, whatever. You're married now, locked up.
You're pretty much locked up.
Yeah, whatever.
Unless that judge comes knocking.
What judge? Oh, yeah. Merch Crick is so solidly out to the pasture. If old girl comes my way, right here, look at her. Oh my Lord.
God.
Oh, she is probably now, I've not seen a body shot on her. Have you?
No, because she wears that dumb choir robe.
I think Blitz pulled up her Insta one day. I think she's got an Insta or a Facebook or something.
Man,
and
I want to see her at least in a bikini.
There's got to be something out there, right?
I'd eat her A-double sop. I'm not into. I usually don't eat ass, but I'd probably eat her ass. I'm just telling you. I've not eaten a lot of ass in my life, but I'd be Ass Eaters Anonymous with her. Oh my God, she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't she like 40?
Oh, she got Botox fillered up, absolutely perfect for this appearance.
Well,
I know.
And whoever did it right.
But
Brian,
I don't care about any of that stuff. Listen, what women do to look good is not my business.
No. I'm
what
just
women do to look
on
good,
what she looks
not
good
my
today.
business.
Here's me and Brent's mantra: whatever it takes to look good, just look good.
Yeah, it's not my business, not my concern.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy, I wish they would have killed him. I really do.
I mean, I do too. If I had my druthers, I'd rather have him go to the death chamber. But life in prison and Gen Pop and Florida State Prison ain't going to be a picnic.
She's into horseback riding too.
Oh yeah, I'll be the
great shot
I'll be
of her.
the fucking Clydesdale.
Oh, she looks great with the cowboy hat and the boots.
Now what am I looking at?
So I'm on her Instagram, j.elizabeth Shearer.
Hold on, Instagram. And I'm searching for hold on, J period Elizabeth Shearer S-H. How you spell Elizabeth?
The way everybody does Elizabeth
Z-A right there, Elizabeth Ann Shearer.
No, not Ann.
That's her.
Oh, well, okay,
yeah, that's
okay.
her.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't see the name underneath. It was like that's not in her Instagram.
Oh, I wish
title.
I was that horse. All right, now is this her? Is that one of those is probably her husband? Oh man! Oh, look at that, Brett.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know how those horse girls know how to really clamp those legs together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Strong legs.
Horse girls, strong legs. Oh yeah.
Take her from behind. Give her a sugar cube.
She's kind of got like a little bit of an AOC look, does she not?
She does. She's even a little cuter though. But
look at that. Hey, cowboy, you want some of this?
She looks great in that shot right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All day.
Why did we have to get big fat guys as judges? Both judges we got in trial.
But you know what though? Yeah, both
That's
judges
probably for the best. Probably for the best.
I had Figueroa and
I mean, Figueroa could barely stay awake.
Well, hold on. Figueroa gave us a more fair trial than Arnold did.
Way more fair. Way more fair.
I mean, Arnold, quite frankly, somebody, I don't know who governs judges.
The JQC.
But, the same people that hemmed up Diaco.
No, that's the bar. The judges have a whole different deal called the Judicial Qualifications Commission.
Doug Arnold, I don't know what his name was. Is that his name? Doug?
I don't think it's Doug.
Whatever his name
is.
Judge Arnold, man. From just the time of not disqualifying Campbell.
That right there is when I bring that up with any attorney like that. I was talking to an attorney in New York City about this, and I told him about that. He was like, "How is that even possible?"
Brian, let me ask you. I mean, you were part of the thick of things there.
I got a lot of thoughts on this stuff.
And I'd like, yeah, you do. You were way involved in this. You have a lot
more involved than I wanted to be.
So I know, but you all in MJ versus Bubba from Vordire. I mean, you were there and you did a lot of great things.
Yeah.
So
let's set this up really quick for people who may not know what we're talking about.
Right.
So Bubba and the Bubba Radio Network, we were sued by a radio talent. His name is Todd Schnitt. He's a conservative radio host at this point. Because we did bits, we made fun of him. We worked with the guy for decades. We had personal experiences with him. And
he was a public figure.
His
wife was a public figure.
His wife was a prosecutor, and she was a public official. She was on his radio show. He did a morning show and an afternoon show. He made fun of people left and right. He made over $1 million doing that a year. And he sued us for making fun of him, and it went to trial in Tampa. So that's the basics of what we're talking about.
Which, by the way, Brian, it should have gotten summary. I mean, it should have gotten thrown out.
Yeah, they should have ruled as a matter of law that she was a public figure and that these comments didn't rise to the level of anything actual.
Now,
but I will say this: summary judgment is difficult to obtain. I mean, it's judges are hesitant to grant summary judgment. You've got to have it. There's no galaxy where you possibly could win.
Well,
now here's the legal sticking point, though.
And here's the deal, though: there was no galaxy where they won.
Well, and they weren't going to ever win.
Right. So isn't that the
but
epitome
part
of
of that,
summary judgment?
But part of that were their own shortcomings in terms of the trial, especially vis-a-vis you and the way you presented. The fact that they had counsel who this wasn't their wheelhouse and actually went on to sue them for that.
But the legal point that Bubba was asking Brian about, and here's the question. One of the lead counsel for Mr. Schnitt, who sued us, was a guy named Phil Campbell. Phil Campbell represented Bubba in a case before.
Hold on. Represented me in a defamation and slander and libel case
against.
Like didn't represent me in a dog bite case.
Right.
Like represented me in the very same
thing
litigation that we're doing here.
And when Bubba and I went to trial for felony animal cruelty, Mr. Campbell was my attorney for First Amendment purposes, not for criminal defense. That was Kevin Hazlett. But for First Amendment, it was Phil Campbell.
And I'll do you one more, which Brian will help me with this regards to how just egregious was, is that Phil Campbell knew inside stuff about my business and how it operated, meaning Ned was a character on my show.
Right.
And that was kind of an inside Iggy. So he had inside intel, because I think that's another layer of disqualification or another qualifier as to whether you get disqualified, is to whether they had any inside
knowledge. And just really quick, Brian, just to add one more thing to that before you comment. He also used that inside knowledge in your cross-examination when you were on the stand, and his associate, Mr. Ellis, used the knowledge of the business when I was questioned on the stand, and I was one of his clients. Now, Brian.
So there are two reasons he should have been disqualified. The first is exactly what you're saying. If during the prior representation you gained knowledge or information that could be used in your representation now against the person, you should recuse yourself. You should disqualify yourself. You shouldn't take on representation. You have a conflict of interest because you are now going after a former client and you have knowledge or information that you obtained only by means of your prior representation of that client. Correct. That you can now use to your new client's advantage against your old client. That's number one. Number two is he should have been disqualified because he was suing you for using his advice and counsel. He had counseled you on what you can say, what you can do, who's fair game, who's not fair game.
How to frame things.
You followed that advice and counsel, and he then turned around and sued you when you had gone. So it's almost like
he attacked his own advice.
He attacked his own advice and counsel to you. And so and there wasn't a significant or substantial change in the law in this area. There
was not. In fact, it was a bit more our way because there was a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling, Martino v. Gardner, that says that you can't count on radio talk shows as objective fact because they're not objective. They are subjective.
Right. And so for those two reasons, number one, he should have never taken on representation. But he
certainly should have got disqualified.
But even if he did, he should have been disqualified, yes. And then he wasn't. And then winning on appeals is very difficult. You have to show abuse of discretion, essentially, for something like this. And that's a very high bar to clear. And unfortunately,
but Arnold should have been investigated. I mean, we didn't win any of the
not one.
Well, and here's it
was really weird. It was one of those ones where you knew that the
fix was in.
Yes.
The real.
By the way, me, Babyface, and Brent Hatley. I'm right, you're wrong. We're screwed. Not too much right left. We do this every couple times a month. Go ahead.
The real issue, is that, and the real problem I have with it is, had he been disqualified, there is not another attorney in town who would have taken that case on and would have advised Todd Schnitt that he had a viable claim. So this judge would have ended all of it. None of that years of wasted time,
millions,
money, litigation would have occurred if the right thing was done at the outset.
Correct. And from what my understanding is, rumor has it, word on the street is, so I've been told, Mr. Schnitt shopped this to numerous attorneys before he got to Phil Campbell to take it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
That's what I've been told.
I don't know of an attorney that practices or has any competence in that area of the law that would have told him that this lawsuit was a good idea, viable, and he would come out on top.
And he also should have told Schnitt that at the time that Todd was sniffling around, the highest slander, malice, defamation media settlement had been like $56,000 in somewhere like in Brevard County.
And I
Did
think
you know that?
Yeah, I think it was the Jews for Jesus case.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's some kind of statistic, Brian, where after all this was said and done, that said like he should have advised Schnitt, hey, wasn't MJ's legal bill $1.8 million?
It was ridiculous.
Yes. $1.8 million.
No world where he was going to get that money back.
No.
How do you compensate someone such as my clients for the injury to their reputations, the shame and humiliation that they've experienced in the past, and more importantly, what they'll experience in the future? What's adequate compensation?
Brian, is it really, really uncommon to throw figures at a jury? I mean, shouldn't your case be so?
Well, no.
Talk about shame and humiliation. We've all worked in radio.
Well,
what are you talking about?
This is a difficult part, and this is where the lawyer matters, right? So you've got to look at, how did the trial go? Who are my jurors? How did my witnesses present? And you've got to decide how you're going to approach the jury, because you have to do this. I mean, you have to ask for
you got to give them a starting point, right? A reference point.
Some lawyers will go with the floor, set the floor for them. No, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, no matter what you do, no matter, you guys are free to go back there, but the evidence is shown, yada, yada, yada. This is the minimum. The minimum. Obviously, if you want to award more, we get it. But what they went through, this is the minimum that you should be. This is where your deliberations should start. And
that's what you would have said.
In a case, well, I wouldn't have been on trial for him in this case. But
can I ask you a question?
I wouldn't have been his lawyer.
Would it be uncommon? Is it common practice, or does an attorney, or can an attorney, or is it legal for, if there's other case law that is similar to what you're fighting for you to say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know where you start, but if I could requote, Jimmy versus Jimmy.
No, you can't. You can't use the damages in that case to suggest damages in this case.
Then that's a rule.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay.
So
the judge will smack you on the PP.
Well, it's almost that's delving into mistrial area there.
You might be writing a check before you leave court. Then.
Yeah, you'll be covering the cost of that trial out of your own pocket.
Sorry, that's why I can't be a lawyer.
But the issue in a case like Schnitt's is, what were their damage? Like, that's the thing, is
there were none.
They never proved any actual damages.
Phil Campbell is going to tell you. Hold on, stand by.
Weeks and months and years of humiliation, of shame, of hurt feelings, all caused by a man.
Hold on.
Hurt feelings.
All caused by being Todd Schnitt.
Hold on now. If you're a lawyer and you're writing this all out, and you write hurt feelings, aren't you as a lawyer supposed to say, well, technically hurt feelings isn't illegal?
Right. It's really not.
Right? Hurt feelings?
So if I'm giving this statement with the terrible case that he had to work with, this is what I'm saying. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, there wasn't a day over the course of 2 years that Michelle Schnitt didn't pull out of her driveway, looking over her shoulder, wondering where the members of the massive Bubba army were going to be. The number one DJ in this market, calling out his listeners, attacking my clients. There wasn't a day that she didn't look over her shoulder saying, is one of Bubba's army looking at me? Are they going to yell at me? Are they going to confront me? On the lies that he has spread about her, the harmful and destructive language that he used. Look, This is me now. I'm not saying that this was.
No,
I
you're
would
saying
never
if you have
taken
this,
it.
if you have this shitty
This dog
case,
shit.
If I have this
you had
dog
this
shit of
dog
a
shit,
case,
and you're trying to put a little cat litter on it,
I am playing up her fear.
right? And
I
that
am
she's a
because
female.
That she's a female. That the big bad Bubba Army, whatever. And I'm praying. That's my Hail
Right.
Mary.
You're throwing a Doug Flutie, a fucking Hail Mary, hoping somebody's there to catch it.
So
That's it.
my favorite thing was, which was to me, and I talked to J.D. Yako about this the other day, and we had a laugh about it. The dumbest thing that they did was they called me to the stand, so they got direct
Pelican brief.
They got direct examination on me, but that meant Jay got to do the cross,
Right.
And Jay wasn't going to call him.
Jay wasn't going to. So they call me, and John Ellis asked me, when did you make the decision to attack my clients? I said, I wouldn't use the word attack. Well, what word would you use? I said, criticize.
Yeah.
And then that right there, he turned to Phil Campbell, the cameraman for Bay News 9 told me this. He turned to Phil Campbell and goes, I got to get this guy off the stand.
Yeah.
Jay goes, well, I need to keep him back on.
Well, when Jay stood up for cross-examination, you know the J.D. Yako smile? It was the big, huge J.D. Yako smile when he got up for cross-examination.
And look, if you had a non-conforming paint job on your house, then John Ellis is the attorney that I would want on the other side for representing an HOA. But they were out of their depth in this trial. Okay, that's what he specializes in HOA. He represents his HOAs like that. That's
well,
and
that's
he's
a
very good HOA attorney. Probably one of the best in Tampa. John Ellis, one of the best HOA lawyers in Tampa.
Great. But that
This is
doesn't
a
mean
First Amendment
you
case.
shouldn't be involved in a media First Amendment case if that's your specialty.
Hold on here.
Who out of sheer hatred for Mr. Schnitt felt compelled to tell his 400,000 audience.
His 400,000
It was big.
audience.
It was, first of all, that
I know
sentence
that,
doesn't
but
make sense.
Doesn't even make sense. His
But-
400,000 audience. You mean the 100,000 people that listen to his show daily?
And that was just Tampa
Right.
at that point.
Lie after
Bubba's in the back. Objection, Your Honor. My
I got
ratings
more
are
than
much
that.
higher than that.
Yeah, man, he's chipping me 50% here, Your Honor. Come on.
500,000, a million, 2 million, 2.5 million. What is it worth?
Make it a billion.
You
Just
might
start,
as well make it.
throwing numbers
You better
around.
hope it's 2.5 million because MJ won't be able to pay for his legal bill.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm telling you right now,
How much-
it's got to be 1.8 million or
At
more.
least, or where I'm going to get my partner status thrown out immediately.
How much
To
are you gonna-
spend the first 2 years from 2008 through 2010, be afraid to go out of your home, afraid to go out, be faced, as Mr. Schnitt testified, in pulling up to a gas station or going to a grocery store, doing things all of us do every day of our lives, in the ordinary course of our lives, in fear that someone is going to start screaming in front of our children, your wife's a whore, screaming vulgarities, like I did also in Gasparilla.
Welcome to the club.
What is that worth?
Well, you better get yourself off the radio and not be a public figurine anymore.
You can't take that back. As
Hey, Brian, that's what we used to call him
I
instead of
know.
public figure,
I'm
public figurine.
intimately familiar
Mr. Schnitt
with every
testified,
aspect
Be
of
better
this.
having a hug.
his son asked, Daddy, why are those people yelling at you?
Well, maybe because I'm not tall enough to ride the rides, and I get VIP service.
Let's not
What?
let's not forget the time that he got away with arson.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oh,
yeah.
and did it under the guise of a public service address thing when really he just wanted to burn a van down in a parking lot.
Heard a captain on the fire
And,
department.
and you know what? When you commit a felony and a first responder suffers an injury during it, ooh,
That's an aggravating factor, is it not?
oh yeah.
Can you
I think
compensate
that's actually a separate
For those
charge.
years.
Wow.
Those
How
years.
can you? And how can you ensure and protect them and compensate them in terms of the future?
You can't.
Compensate them for what?
So so a couple mistakes here. One, should have focused on Michelle and the kids way more. But I don't think his client was going to let him
Mr. Schnitt
do that.
would not allow that.
No, Mr. Schnitt would not allow that. But
gotta be
if
about
you're
him.
trying to
Me.
win on this one, it's all about Michelle and the kids, and that's it.
Brent,
And,
have you
know,
heard? Have you heard? I was looking for some stuff, Hatley.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
On a side note, one thing I love is when people try to threaten people on my show.
Have you heard this?
Ixnay.
Perfect.
Ixnay.
I got you. I don't know if you've heard that or not.
I I have no comment on any of this.
Stand Bubba Radio #1. Listen to it. If you don't, you better take your ass somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are you guys familiar with the little thing I got, little dust up I got involved in on Tuesday at the officer funeral?
Oh, my God.
Completely familiar with it.
Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Well, now
I can't believe the response from the Miami Police Department is disappointing to say the least.
you mean from the union? Are you familiar?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the union? How they're blaming it on me now?
Yeah, victimhood. I mean, everybody's a victim, right?
I
The
mean-
guy was dealing with the stress and drama of having to go to a cop's funeral and get paid for the day to drive all the way up from Miami and all the way back and be on the clock the whole way. And he was dealing with the stress by looking at pictures of bikini-clad women, cars, and him and his buddies flexing and oiling each other up on the beach.
They're calling me Blint they're calling me a
Clout chaser?
A poster was chasing clout.
Yeah.
It's funny how the same poster never videotaped them being emotional before.
Oh, he's claiming now he was crying before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
The whole thing was videotaped. Let's see it. Somebody must have.
well, they're
gotten it.
also saying, well, why did I'm as guilty as he is by videotaping his
No,
actions.
you're not.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I only videotaped 5 minutes of his actions and documenting that it happened for 3 different speakers, which takes you at 24 minutes. So for 24 minutes, I taped 5 minutes of that in 3 different sections to show you that during these 3 different segments, which started with the a song, then it was the chaplain of the Polk County Sheriff's Department, then it was Grady Judd,
Sheriff of Polk County.
Sheriff of Polk County, who is the sheriff of this dead officer laying in the casket.
It was his boss. Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is there. So and with it, in fact, I have the program. I have the program right here.
So let's back up and set
Hold
up
on here, but let me
set up what we're talking about.
And here's the program. So go ahead, Hatley, back it up.
So there was a Polk County deputy sheriff that lost his life in the line of duty.
Deputy Blaine Lane.
Blaine Lane.
21-year-old guy is on camera right now. Just an absolute good-looking of a kid.
R.I.P. Blaine Lane. Condolences to your family, Office Deputy Blaine Lane. I mean, just it's heartbreaking. We've dealt with this a lot of times. It is so heartbreaking, and to talk to these families, it is one of the roughest times of their lives. And this was the funeral service for this fallen deputy, where Bubba attended, and there was law enforcement there. There was the governor of Florida there. There were sheriffs, all kinds of people.
And so I'm sitting there, and this deputy, there's 6 guys in front of me, 2 rows down, and then the next row is 3 police officers, and then it's me, my girlfriend, another Polk County deputy, and then behind me are 4 police officers, and then behind them are 6 more police officers. So literally, Hatley, in this 6 rows, there's only 2 civilians, me and Erica.
And to give everybody even more context, because people may be asking themselves, well, why is Bubba there? Bubba has raised money for fallen police officers' families for over a decade. And it's putting his money where his mouth is. And the charity, nobody took a cell phone bill, nobody took a lunch. All the money went to the families. So Bubba has been very instrumental in this very topic.
And I've gone to a lot of these. In fact, I just went to one 2 weeks ago up by your house, Brian, at that is it Idlewild?
Idlewild?
Yeah, I went there
that
for
big church up there.
Boy, beautiful church.
Yeah, massive.
Oh my God. I went to Deputy Michael Hartwick from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, lost his life.
I mean, but Bubba started this in the 90s. I just want everybody to understand that this isn't a Johnny-come-lately thing for you.
Right. No. And I'm certainly not a content or a poster whatever.
Like, you don't need this for content. This is something that is very near and dear personally to your heart.
And one of the reasons why, Hatley, maybe why they pulled the Miami PD Lodge 20 FOP, maybe one of the reasons why they pulled their post down is because they did their due diligence on me, and they saw that I have a long history of going to cops' funerals, to attending their services, and making significant donations to their family.
Correct. And they might have even called Grady. And if they called Grady, how do you think that conversation went?
Well, not good. and I think that Grady has seen this, and I'm supposed to be a week from yesterday, next Wednesday, in Polk County, presenting a check to Grady for the family.
So
just like I did Bob, how you say Bob's last name?
Galtieri
of Pinellas County last Tuesday.
And these sheriffs, Sheriff Judd, Sheriff Galtieri, Sheriff
Naco, Chronister,
Sheriff Prendergrast, like we have personal relationships with all these guys that go back decades because of it's. I just want people to understand that it is true caring on your part. This is not a Johnny-come-lately publicity deal that you just came up with yesterday. This is something you've done for decades, and one of your best friends in the entire world is a retired law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that you just came up with.
So I'm sitting there, and you guys have seen the video. Brian, you've seen it, and you always, I love your stance because if there's some way to shove it up my ass or some opposing opinion, you'll find it.
I try to be fair at all times. You may view that as me trying to shove it up your ass.
No. You're fair, but you're also, you try.
I'm fair but firm. I'm like Mills Lane, man. I'm fair but firm.
But you try to always make it off in my ass if you can. Just
if there's an angle,
that's the shtick that you take.
If there's a slight counter-programming angle,
you take it.
I will venture down that road.
Yes, you do.
Because it makes for good radio.
It does, and it sometimes really pisses me off.
Which makes for good radio.
And especially on this particular situation, because I don't think that there's one, and I'd love to throw it to you.
I've already said, there is not a way you could have handled this any better than you did. You called the guy out for his behavior. You gave him the opportunity to correct his behavior. You did not jump down his throat. 24 minutes is a long-ass time to be rude and disrespectful. And the reaction of, and what's the real tell is the reaction of the Leos around you and in front of you. The lady immediately shakes her head when you go up to confront him because she's disgusted by it the whole time. But that thin blue line prevented her from saying anything to him. But you weren't beholden to that, and you went down there and you said, look, man, this is a fucking funeral. Like, let's show some class and respect for this family.
And he was, like, if you look at the video, the officer to his left, the black gentleman.
And by the way, Brent, I've just now found out that it was his lieutenant.
The gentleman to his left?
Yes.
He was, that guy was sitting there paying attention and into it, and he's disrupting him, showing him pictures.
Right.
Like, that guy wasn't even involved. The lieutenant wasn't even involved.
No.
He got him involved.
And the sergeant, the bad guy, so to speak, the slouching, that guy.
Setting a bad example for his troops.
Now, supposedly, his Miami FOP Post 20, Miami FOP Lodge 20, came out with some shit last night that I'm going to repost on my Facebook saying that this is all out of context and that I'm just chasing content and that why am I taping this guy and that we didn't see this guy have a very emotional situation prior to walking into the church. And the way that he copes with this tragedy was to look through pictures
of girls at the beach, yeah. And show off to his boys.
Go ahead and tell Grady that.
Yeah. Call up the sheriff.
Call in the show right now. Let's have somebody from Miami call in now and let's discuss this. If you really believe that, then let's talk this out.
Call up Sheriff Judd and try that explanation with him,
and
see if that works.
And so, Brent, I sat there with Erica.
You should call the union right now on the air and say, "Hey, I saw your post. Let's talk about this."
See if there's a phone number for him.
All right. Was it Miami?
Oh boy.
Miami. Here, let me find it for you, buddy. Miami FOP 20. And here we got a phone call. Maybe this is it. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Bubba? It's Brandon the Quad.
Hey, Brandon the Quad. How are you, buddy?
I got their number.
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, I got a question about the police officer. So if he was so distraught, did he leave right after you told him to get off his phone?
No, he stayed there respectfully for the rest of the service, and then there was a major outside part of the service as well where they did the flyover and the 21-gun salute and the presenting of the flag to the family and then the end-of-watch call as well. I don't know where he was. There were so many police officers there. I don't know where he was. I lost contact with him after they dismissed everybody to the outside, so nobody left. Everybody stayed there. I mean, it would be unheard of to leave.
But they said he was so distraught and he was so emotional. I figured if he was so distraught, he might have left or started crying or something. Because I watched it like 3 times and he was just checking out the video.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I might have a phone number for him, so I got to let you go. And Hatley's right here to say you're locked in for some pussy.
Yeah.
Locked in.
Thank you, buddy.
You got it.
I'm
Thank you, guys.
texting you the number right now, bub.
And I sent you. Brent, did you get the their? I'll send it to you too, Brent.
So what,
Their screenshots
no, I didn't see those yet.
of their response.
I didn't see those yet.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to set up, like, anybody that's going to try to paint you as a Johnny-come-lately or just chasing content is way off base on this one. Way off base.
That didn't even sound like it was a working number, did it, Brian? It sounded like a.
Yeah, this is on Google.
I know. Do you know why I know I'm right, Brent, on this?
Why is that?
Because the family of Blaine has reached out to me and personally thanked me and said, you know what, thank you, because we're the ones that were getting ready to speak next.
Afternoon.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, who's this? I'm trying.
Gladys, can I help you?
I'm trying to call the FOP 20.
This is the FOP 20.
Right. Are you familiar with the incident that happened in Lakeland, Florida, with a police officer at a police officer's funeral? Whoever mans your Facebook page has got into a little bit of a back and forthness with me and my people about the video that was posted of this police officer that I think might be a member of your lodge.
No, I'm sorry. I don't have any information about that. I can have someone from here call you back if you want to leave me your information.
Yes. My name is Bubba.
One second. Let me get here.
I'm doing my Facebook show, and I'm doing my Facebook show, and I just wanted to call and see if I could get a comment. But I'll give you my number to see if we can have somebody call me back.
Okay, your name again, please?
Is Bubba? And it's
B-A-B-A?
Yeah, that's good. And then 813 902 8222.
And you're calling from?
My radio show.
What's the radio show?
The Bubba the Love Sponge Show.
The Love Sponge Show.
Yes, and
okay.
I was just trying to get some type of opinion as to the Facebook post that was posted on behalf of your lodge about this particular video.
Okay.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you going on the air with us. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, good recovery there.
Thank you.
I was starting to get worried, but I didn't want to chime in, and I'm like,
pro.
"Oh,
Hatley blew me a text. I'm a pro. Bro, that's how a pro. That's how a pro does it.
I'm over here literally sweating. I'm like, "Oh God, this is going to turn into."
I got it right, Ryan B.
You're good. You're good. You got
Hello.
it.
3 different times. Hello. Hello. Thank you. So, it's interesting how they're trying to spin this.
Like,
I think that this guy, and listen, a lot of people, some people are like, oh, you're being a Karen Clem and you're trying to get the guy canceled. And listen, I've gone on record by saying I don't want the guy fired.
and he's not going to be fine.
I don't want the guy's stripes taken away or his rank taken away. I just think that maybe the appropriate punishment should be maybe that this guy shouldn't be on the honor squad.
Yeah, I mean, you're not doing your job. You're not being honorable and honoring those that you're being paid and sent to, to honor. I mean,
the absolute, mission of the honor guard within an agency is to go to fallen police officers' funerals and represent your agency. And sometimes that requires travel, hotel rooms, per diems. You're a traveling
representative
goodwill ambassador of your agency,
of the Miami PD.
right?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
represent the mayor, you represent the chief of police, and you represent the men and women of the Miami Police Department.
And really the city, because the taxpayers pay that salary.
True. The residents of the city of Miami. You are the honor guard.
You know, and to those saying, oh, everybody grieves differently, I want an explanation on how this was him grieving. How is him looking at pictures of girls in bikinis, cars, and his buddies oiled up, helping him grieve this fallen officer? He didn't have any photos with the officer. He wasn't close to the officer. You're there in respect. Okay? Respect. You aren't there because you know the guy. You're there to pay respect to him and his family and to the process of the funeral. And what he was doing was disrespecting that process.
And you're right, Brian. If he was scrolling through pictures of this guy and him, or even Lane's life, or maybe the website that was dedicated to Blaine, and they were scrolling through pictures, that I get it. I absolutely get it. I scroll through pictures of my son sometimes. I scroll through pictures. We all do when we're remembering things. And maybe at a funeral of a person, you would scroll through. In fact, I just went to the Laura Nash funeral a few weeks ago, and a lot of times at funerals, they'll have a little picture montage that they present for you, and it scrolls on through. So I get it. You can look at pictures, and if those pictures happen to be on your phone, that's great. But not of girls at the beach, you and your buddies oiled up, cars, and nothing to do with the dead police officer that's in that coffin.
A 21-year-old at that. And then
it's such a tragedy. It's
so sad. And then disrupting the lieutenant to your left who's paying attention.
Not to mention everybody else around you that's trying to pay attention and sees you thumbing through your phone.
Yeah, and you know, back in my Marine Corps days, for 1 year, I was on the color guard, and I would have to go sometimes and do events at the VFW, the local VFW veterans events. I didn't know these people, but guess what? And where I'm wearing my Marine Corps dress blues, and I'm carrying Marine Corps colors during the presentation, you have to sit there and be respectful, even though it has nothing to do with you.
And that's really what it comes down
Hatley,
to.
What if you were at the VFW in full Class A dress uniform? Because there's a different uniform you wear when you do that compared to like when you're just going out and shooting the bad guys down.
Full dress blues.
And I think in police work it's called Class A.
Yeah,
it's a Class A uniform.
Yep.
And you know, certainly when he's out fighting the bad guys in Miami, he's not wearing his honor guard, which has like these little
but has all the decorations. Yes. Like in the dress blues, you wear your full medals and all that stuff.
The case on his phone, I'm sure this officer's phone says emotional support phone, so he's allowed to have it there.
And so here is, I don't know if Blitz is, I don't know if this comes up on the screen or not. You can tell me if it does, Brian. It takes a little bit. I was going to kind of replay it. I don't think it may take Blitz having to broadcast it.
It's not showing up.
All right, so I may as well not play it.
I don't know how this magic works, but I press buttons and things show up on the internet.
So, Brett, I did kind of boss hog down there, didn't I?
You did. Look at that.
I look like a fucking middle linebacker, don't I?
You were,
so
but you can tell that you were restraining yourself this whole time.
I really was.
You're walking like you got to go take a dump in the toilet. That's like this has been coming for 24 minutes. I'm gonna lay it out.
So now, if you can tell right here, they were not gonna. So Grady's still talking. So now I told the merch crick, stop taping. He's gone out for 24 minutes, and I tell her, I said, I'm looking at the program because they had a little program here, the same one that I have, and it says after Grady Judd, there's going to be a song called "Wash Clean" by Zach Williams. So, but I know a little bit about music. I'm like, the average country hair bear song lasts about 4 minutes.
Yep, 3.5 to 4. That's their formula.
And it says right in, and then they did the U.S. honor flag, which, by the way. No, I'm sorry, the remarks from the family of Deputy Lane. So I knew during the country hair bear song that they were going to line up they had the 6 members of the Lane family, and they were going to line them up there, and then after the song, they were going to each, and there were 6 of them, speak, about their great memories of their fallen relative.
Fallen deputy, young deputy.
And so I tell the merch crick, as soon as the song hits, now you guys got to understand, Brian, I'm contemplating within my little peanut head should I even do this? We're almost done with this. Should I do it? And then another part of me is like, hell yeah, you should do it, because you know what? This is wrong. This is flat out wrong. And by the reaction that I'm getting from the guys behind me, the woman immediately in front of me, all in uniform, all police officers, all sheriffs, they're mad. This guy's not trying to hide it at all. He's not trying to be covert about it at all. And you know what, Bubba? You're gonna beat yourself up if this goes another 30 minutes and you don't say something.
Yeah, and you grieve by punching rude fuckers in the face. That's the way you choose to grieve. So let's respect your grieving, right? I mean, you can't. That's such a bullshit fucking cop-out response from them. That makes this all even worse, which I'm glad they did remove it, because that was some horse shit.
Yeah, they probably got, as you young people say these days, ratioed when they posted that.
Yeah.
So now,
you're talking to me, young people?
Yes,
I'm 40. I get ratioed every moment of my life.
What's ratioed mean?
That means when you make a stupid comment and then somebody replies to your stupid comment and gets more likes than you did on your initial stupid comment.
Yes.
That's getting ratioed.
All right, so now you can see here right now, I just want you to pay attention. Grady's still talking.
It's literally the worst thing that can happen to somebody these days. Getting ratioed.
So Grady's still talking.
What world are we living in?
Grady's still talking. Now, this is
Sheriff Grady Judd.
Sheriff Grady Judd, who is the president of the National Sheriff's Association and arguably, by anybody's account, the most popular and slinging D lawman in at least certainly all of Florida and arguably America.
And definitely supports his deputies more than anybody.
Like, he was just on Fox News a couple nights ago. Brian may not like this. And he said, I'm telling you right now, when we're talking about loitering, and if you are in your home and a bad guy is loitering or trying to take your stuff, and he is in your house and he is trying to steal your stuff.
Talking about looting or loitering?
No, looting. I'm sorry.
Okay,
looting.
I was going to say, standing out in front of a 7-Eleven.
No. Guy's 3 blocks down, minding his own business at 7-Eleven, smoking a cigarette.
That guy's fine.
No, he was talking about, Florida's having some looting issues, especially down in Lee and Collier County and things like that.
Yeah, where the hurricane hit. Yeah.
Right. We're having some looting issues, and looting has, kind of gone even into Orlando and a little bit of Polk County. And so Fox had Sheriff Grady Judd on, and Grady Judd goes, I'm telling the people of my county right now that if anybody is looting your home and you don't feel safe and they are inside, he said, they are inside your home. He goes, I want you to shoot him, and I want you to shoot him dead. And I want you to shoot him so many times that they look like Swiss cheese. He said, shoot him as many as you got. I mean, that's Grady Judd.
Florida is not the place to be looting, just so everybody's correct. Right. And I tell people this with peace and love when they come down here, because some of the work we do, people come from the Northeast down here. I say, just realize this. Everybody that you see in Florida that you think has a gun, if they look like they have a gun, they have a gun. And the people that don't look like they have a gun, they have a gun too.
Right.
Just be aware of that.
You got the sheriff of this fallen police officer speaking to probably 3 or 4, at least 3,000 other sheriffs, this guy's family, the governor of our state, the lieutenant governor, a whole bunch of important people. And this guy continues to scroll through his phone.
His grandmother, who cooked for him anytime.
You call it scrolling, I call it grieving.
Now, I had the merch crick put her phone down, and Brent, I wanted to document that now we're on to another segment, which is the song segment, and he's still
grieving.
Scrolling through he's still grieving. So at this point, I'm like, and then I told her, I want you to record this, not so it's a viral, since I got 121,000 followers on Facebook. I don't need viral. I mean, sure, if there's not a one of us that would lie to say we wouldn't love to have something go viral, that's great. But I'm not sitting here trying to create stupid stuff.
You didn't send this to local news stations. You didn't send this to a news station down in Miami. You haven't done any of that yet. Now you're going to defend him with this and try and reverse Zabida this shit on Bubba.
So I then decide during the song, after Sheriff Grady Judd has spoke, and for the 4 minutes it's going to take to get the family onto the stage and get them ready to speak about their fallen loved one, it would be an opportunity for me to go down quietly and quickly, without making a scene, tell this guy, and here's my exact words. You can read my lips. Why don't you be respectful to your brother that's in that coffin right now and put down your phone, because every one of us behind you can see what you're doing.
That's perfect.
And that's exactly what I said. And if you watch, you can almost read my lips. And to be honest with you guys, I was nervous as hell. I was nervous. I may not have looked nervous, but I was nervous as hell. Britt knows I get nervous.
Yes.
Here I am. Look like Coco from middle linebacker. Here we go. I said, excuse me, and then you can read my lips.
You can actually hear you.
Oh.
I can hear you.
I think you can.
Yeah, I can hear exactly what you're saying.
Hold on here. And watch the woman in the middle. Watch her acknowledge.
She shakes her head.
She's like, fuck yeah. About time. Here we go. And look at that shit-eating grin he puts on him.
Yeah. And he just swings his foot. Did Erica stop filming there?
Yeah, I told her, because at that point now, you know,
I wanted to see his reaction.
But I didn't want his reaction, because then it would have been, I would have been guilty of doing what
they're accusing
of
you
what
of.
they're accusing me
but
of.
that's not. Yeah, but
no. But I'm saying, Brian,
yeah, I want to see, as a viewer, I want to see the reaction.
Oh, you think I'm pandering? You know what? I was just there a week before, handing a check to this fine sheriff for the fallen officer that he had gotten.
And that's a guy that, when he first ran, we supported him.
Yes. And going on his fourth term.
Yeah. And he's not as ostentatious as Sheriff Judd, but
he's
he
stiff.
is a straight shooter.
He is. So, you know what, Brian, maybe they went to my Facebook and said, oh, this just isn't a poster, as you will.
Yeah, he's
this is
active.
a guy. This is a guy that, really likes and supports law enforcement. And then, maybe they went to this picture. Brent, this was when I was at the funeral services of Michael Hartwick. That's the program of Michael Hartwick.
To me, it's just heartbreaking, all these officers that lose their life.
I do flick, bitch.
There is, Brent, that's the inside services of Michael Hartwick. So all you got to do is just peruse around my Facebook a little bit, and you'll see that, oh, you know what, this guy isn't just some guy that is trying to make a cop look bad or anything like that. This guy really does go to these funerals
and cares. Like, you really do care.
And I do care. And I put my money. There you go. I put my money where my mouth is. And I make. Look! I posted this when they were transporting the.
I'm sorry.
When they were transporting the body to the medical. And then look at this, Brent. This is the actual Michael Hartwick's, ceremony.
Wow.
This isn't the one from. This is the one from 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So maybe Brian, they're like, oh man, this guy does go to cop funerals.
And to give the audience a history, if you go all the way back to the 90s, in the early 2000s, when Tampa PD Officer Lois Marrero, she died in the line of duty stopping a bank robber, and she had a lesbian partner, and gay marriage wasn't legal back then. Bubba fought for her partner to get the benefits from the department because they weren't going to give her partner the benefits. I mean, this goes back decades of supporting police officers that have given their lives in the service of us.
This is what gets me every time when they do.
It's heartbreaking. It really is.
When they do the end to watch deal. Oh, this is what right here. This is what tears me. This makes me cry right here.
Yeah. It's bad.
Radio Detector 73 Charlie, please respond. Radio to all units. Sector 73 Charlie, Deputy Michael Hartwick is not responding. Sector 73 Charlie, Deputy Michael Hartwick was taken on September 22nd, 2022, after 19 years of service to Pinellas County. He was a dedicated deputy, loving father of 2 sons, and loyal friend. Sector 73 Charlie is 10-7 for the remainder. End of watch, September 22nd, 2022. May God bless him, and may he rest in peace.
So you're going to call me a poster or a content chaser when I probably have done more in law enforcement than your stupid ass FOP 20 post? Brent, that's a good picture right there. I look bowed up, don't I?
That's a great pick.
I look like some old man. Get off my fucking lawn.
Sure
Get off
does.
my lawn. Oh, man. Oh. So anyway, Brian, even you being a dick and who hates me and tries to always shove it up my ass, I think that you're actually, on this particular instance, on my side.
I've tried
So thank
every
you.
which way to find a way to.
Of this and who hates me and tries to always shove. Sorry.
Let's get in a vortex.
What did you say again? I'm
I said, let's get in a vortex.
And then the other thing. By the way, I hate to get too sports oriented, but man, are my Packers in trouble?
No.
They'll figure it out. They look. The offense will improve. The defense is playing pretty well. They're going to be okay.
Yeah, they choked though Sunday,
and they were in a weak ass division.
I mean that game Sunday could have gone either way. It was.
Yeah, but it seemed like the
didn't-
Packers just laid out in the second half. They abandoned the run game.
Yeah.
They abandoned the fuck. They got. By the way, they got 2 stud running backs.
They do.
Yeah. Well, they would not even have 3 wins if it wasn't for those 2 running
Right.
backs.
No, you're right, bud. You're
They,
right.
They
And-
wouldn't have a win if it wasn't for those running
And
backs.
so, okay, so the wins that you got are on those dudes. Man, feed those motherfuckers the ball.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not to be getting 20 touches a game each.
Per.
Yeah. And once you really establish the run, then Aaron Rodgers will kill you.
He will. But here's what they don't do, Barrett. They don't establish the run in the second half, and then the Giants just pin it back and send the troops, and then it's this dink and dunk shit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have anybody that can stretch the field. He does not have anybody.
Well, he does.
Well,
he just doesn't
Laz-
have a rapport yet with Christian Watson. But
And
Christian Watson
Lazard-
absolutely can.
Lazard can stretch the field too.
Man, not with the number 1 on him. He can't do it with the number
Can
1
Watson?
corner. Watson can with their number 2 corner on him. Yeah, he can do it. He,
Yeah, remember
he
the
did.
fir- but remember the
very
first
play
yeah,
of the first
I'm
game.
getting ready to
So
say
you're
he
not
fucking
going to go
dropped
back
it.
to him because he fucking dropped the pass. This is your guy. You got him. You got to live and die with him. So give him another shot.
How about
and
OBJ?
You got to hold on. You got to use Tanyan more to drag him across the river because the linebackers and safeties cannot cover that guy.
Odell ain't looking to freeze his ass off at Lambeau. He's going to be in L.A. or Tampa Bay or a city.
I saw the Saints are
maybe New Orleans, but New Orleans doesn't really need him. They just need Jameis to not be.
Well, Michael
Not to
Thomas.
be Jameis.
Michael Thomas is hurt. Actually, the Red Rocket looks a lot better.
Thomas,
than Jameis
Thomas
does.
Landry, Olave, and Hill and Kamara. You're fine. You've got the
but
weapons
Thomas
you need.
isn't healthy. His ankle is really
then-
an issue.
But OBJ can't come in and be a number 1 for you. That's the problem. He's not. He's at the point in his career where he's a great number 2 guy, but he's not going to be a number 1.
I think Olave is going to end up being the number 1 guy for the Saints, and I think the Red Rocket looks better.
So
than
the
Jameis
Packers,
right now.
Brian, they don't go get OBJ. They just stay the course and just hope that the rookies continue to learn the offense and that you can give Rodgers some times. And I guess at the end of the day, you got to fucking run the ball.
If I told you that your next 3 of your next 4 against the Jets, the Commanders, and the Lions, how fucking worried are you about going 3-1? Even if you lose at the Bills, which you're going to, you're 3-1 over that stretch. So all of a sudden you're 6-3. What are you worried about? You know, you got Cowboys, Titans, Eagles, Bears after that. You go 2-2 in those games. All right, now you're 8-5. You're fine. You're going to make the playoffs, and it's about growing. You don't want to, at this stage, bring in, I wouldn't want, you're trying to build chemistry, and now you're going to try and force it by bringing in somebody like OBJ, who's not a good locker room guy, by the way.
No,
you got to have a team that's
and at the end of the day, Rodgers isn't going to put up with the shit in the locker room either.
No, and Rodgers is historically gets better as the season goes along.
How about Brady and the big divorce caper? Like, what's your opinion on that, Brian?
It's impacting him. I mean, if you look at him, first of all, he looks gaunt. He has not. He looks like he's not eating. He is stressed out. His performance on the field.
I think he loves her and does not want to lose her, and I think she's being the booker here.
And from what again, I don't know what goes on in anybody's relationship. Yeah. This is what's reported is they had a deal that he was going to retire and she got to go back to her career, and I can see somebody being upset with going back on that deal.
Yeah, so apparently they've been and again, I don't like the drama of getting into somebody's relationship.
I don't either, because nobody knows but that couple.
Yeah, and I don't want to get in. I don't want to be that guy, but it is, it is, he's the GOAT. I mean, she's $1 billion.
But he's the GOAT at
supermodel.
football. He's not the GOAT for being a great husband or
a human being,
or even letting people into his world. Like that's not
he's
what he
always been
does.
a closed world.
But
Yeah.
but here's the thing about the Bucks, and as a Saints fan, this does not make me happy to say this. The Bucks defense is going to keep them in every single game.
Yeah.
The Bucks defense is
rugged, except the Kansas City game when they turned the ball over immediately and then break.
Well, you can't leave any defense out there the whole game, especially against a guy like Mahomes. Like that eventually is going to catch up with you. But if you look at the games that the Bucks have played with against the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Saints, and just the way that their defense, they do not.
They should have won the Packer game. I mean, they could have won that game.
All they needed was one more field goal, but the Packers defense played good that game too.
And they arguably should have beaten the Chiefs. They had 2 untimely turnovers. You take those away, and that game is completely different.
Agreed.
Completely. I mean, you fumble the opening kickoff, you're fucked.
I mean, Levante David, his sideline to sideline speed.
He's one of the best.
He is really.
He really showed Jameis the good news last year, did he not?
Yeah, he did.
And I'll tell you right now.
Hold on. And Jameis should have just fucking slid. He tried to get that extra half a yard, and the 50. I forget what his number is.
Is he 54 or 45? They got those two linebackers.
He said, "I'll be having your
54,
ACL and I'll be having your inner and outer part of your knee,
so,
buddy."
So I'll say, and one of them's 54, the other's 45.
And then the Bucs secondary is good. Their defensive line, they can get pressure with their front four. They stop the run.
I'll tell you right now,
they are good on defense.
The Bucs hope for a Super Bowl, a deep playoff run, rests with, and this is going to sound crazy,
Fournette,
Cade Otton. No, Cade Otton, the tight end. Brady, in his entire career, think about
always had a real prolific tight end.
Always had a tight end that he could rely on. It's absolutely, I've got 2.7 seconds to get rid of the ball. I know where my tight end's going to be. If Cade Otton, Brate has shown moments where he could be that guy, but he ain't. He's
not that guy.
He's not that guy. And Cade Otton he was our 4th round pick out of Washington. He filled in admirably this week when Brate was out because Brate got knocked the fuck out last week. But I think he had 4 catches for 54 yards or something like that in this last game. But if he can develop that rapport and trust in Otton, if Brady can develop that, that's going to go a long way.
Also, the main thing the Bucs need to do is establish the run. The reason that the Packers defense did so well is they shut Fournette the fuck down.
Yeah.
They did not let Fournette get a yard. They were like, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us with these receivers. And the other thing is Mike Evans getting tossed out of the Saints game and suspended for the Packers game.
It was kind of bullshit.
Yeah, well he needs to calm down. Like he needs to get his emotions under control and get back to the huddle when the whistle blows, because you're hurting your team by getting into all that shit with the cornerbacks. You really are.
I would say this too. The Bucs need to give Rashad.
And you know
White
what? That
more...
may not have happened under Bruce Arians, and it might happen under Bowles.
No, it absolutely happened under Bruce Arians. He had the same run-in with Lattimore.
Marshawn Lattimore. This has been going on for years, and Lattimore baits him every single time into this stuff.
He takes the bait on it. So
and Todd Bowles is a pretty strict. He's a defensive-minded guy. Obviously, you look at the Bucs defense. What I've noticed about the Bucs too is at halftime. Like the Packers were moving the ball on them in the first half, but they adjusted it at halftime, and the Bucs shut you down in the second half. So you got to get what you can get on the Bucs pretty much in the first half and try to hold on and shut down Fournette, because once you shut down Fournette, you can get pressure on Brady.
Here's the thing too: last season was kind of an aberration for Fournette in his career. He's a 3.8 yard a carry guy.
Yes,
I mean that's who he is.
Yes.
He is not a long yardage, break a long run type of running back, and they have that kid. His name's Rashad White. They need to start working these younger guys into this offense. You're not Leonard Fournette is what he is. He's 3.8 to 4 yards a carry. He's reliable.
And the third and fourth quarter, he's there to batter the defense when they're tired of tackling. Yeah.
And let Rashad White wear them down on the edges a little bit more. Have
and get
more
them
of
gassed.
a threat.
Yeah.
And so I think the Bucs are going to be fine. First of all, they're winning this division with their eyes closed. Like Brent said, with just their defense, they could win this division.
Their defense is one of the best in the league.
They're probably the 3rd best defense in the league. I would say Bills, Niners, Bucs.
Yeah.
That would be my ranking right now, based upon overall defense. But there's a few others. I mean, Denver's obviously got a pretty decent defense,
but I mean, specifically the Bucs and I agree, the Bills. They really get penetration and pressure on the quarterback. They stop the run, They do a lot of great stuff.
The
Hi, who's this?
NFL,
Hello.
everything's pass rush now.
Hello.
You have to.
Hi, it's Hot Carl. Don't Google me.
Hello, Hot Carl. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I just wanted to commend you. Just make a quick props to you. And I also just wanted to say, man, I think it's really cool that Brian actually has your back on that one because,
Very
to be
rare.
honest,
Very rare.
Well, I'll tell you, I've actually had to do that almost similar situation several times in my lifetime, and I think what you did was perfectly fine. Forget anybody that said anything otherwise, and you, like you said, you have your foundation, you go and donate to these families, and you pay your respects. Just the fact that you drive out there and go and spend your time doing that when I know you're a super busy guy means a lot to a lot of the families that are in law enforcement and stuff. So, anyways, bro, you've had a lot of good shows. Always good hearing Brian. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you calling, man. Thank you. So I know you guys saw this. The Tulsi Gabbard officially.
Well, she announced that in 2020.
Yeah, but she
kind of.
I know, but she kind of made it. I mean, this really hit everywhere this past week, and I liked it. What did you guys think about it?
I mean,
I think that her.
Let me just play a little bit of it.
I think
today's Democratic Party that's under
Shut up, Brian. I told you to shut up for a second.
the complete control of an elitist.
By the way, I have no problem. I think she's vice presidential material far more than what we got now.
Storm.
And no,
that white stripe down the hair.
You don't think that she is better than Kamala Harris?
Oh, I don't think that Kamala Harris is a great VP.
No,
I don't think Biden's a great president.
I asked you to compare.
But I think
the two.
She's
who
leaving.
Who would be a no? Don't confuse the question. Answer the question.
I have no.
If somebody put a gun to your fucking head and said, "I'm going to kill your entire family,"
I can't.
If you don't answer, who would you rather
how
have?
Gabbard would perform as a vice president. I will tell you.
I'll ask it, Hatley, since you want to answer the question.
Vice president is a very difficult position to fill. Probably one of the hardest positions to have in government because of the dance you have to do as a vice president. You never, you only have as much power as you're given. You cannot overshadow. It's almost like Brent being the co-host for you all these years. It's
I miss
very difficult.
I'd have Brent Hatley back for a co-host in a minute if he get his stupid ass up in time.
Brent's very good.
He wants to swing all night long.
Brent was
get up at noon like a fucking rock star.
Brent was very good at what he did with you, and that's why it worked so well.
Brent is very good with what he did and continues to do for and with me. I love him. I'm going to ask him the same question because he'll fucking probably answer it. He knows I hate when you just not answer shit. Hatley, somebody put a gun in your head. They're going to kill your entire family, and you got to pick either what we got for a vice president or you can slide this one in. What's your answer?
Tulsi Gabbard, and for one reason and one reason only. War on drugs. She is against. She's against the war on drugs, and Kamala Harris is for it and has executed it.
Control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism.
Just like Brian.
And she's
yeah, all that anti-white racism I stoke.
You dirty stoker.
I'm a self-hating white man.
Are you a dirty stoker?
I'm a dirty stoker.
And I think Tulsi's a native Hawaiian, too.
She is. She's got some hot Samoan in her. Ready to run you wild, Hatley.
Who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution.
Now, some people are saying that and now you guys are going to go crazy on this, but like a Ron DeSantis Tulsi Gabbard ticket.
She doesn't want to be second fiddle. This woman is
I think
all
she's
about
Brian.
Tulsi.
She's got to be. I'm just telling you, the way the American public is. She's got to be second fiddle before she can be first fiddle.
So Bubba's right about that.
Thank
Number one.
you.
And the other thing that Bubba's right about is the Republicans are going to have to put a woman on the ticket.
Oh, I think
Yes.
they absolutely have to finally do that. I mean, they did it with Palin,
they did it with Palin.
that was come on. They couldn't have picked a worse candidate to put on the ticket with them. She was such a liability.
I could think of 10 other Republican women I would have put on.
I mean,
that ticket.
any just fucking bland granola.
Kay Bailey Hutchinson, who was a senator from Texas at that time, that she would have.
So
been
Hatley
fine.
agrees, man. The Republicans have to put
I'm not saying
a
that
female
they won't.
up there.
She's going to run for the seat. She's doing this, yeah.
The war on drugs, and then when she debated Kamala Harris, and again, I really don't personally have anything against Kamala Harris. I respect especially any black woman that can win a California Senate race. But when she debated Kamala Harris and she talked to her about the war on drugs, Kamala had no answer for her behavior in putting people in prison for marijuana. She had no answer for that. And Tulsi Gabbard is against the war on drugs, and she's against all these foreign entanglements with all these Middle Eastern countries. She wants to put an end to that.
Well, then now you just saw that Biden. Now, Biden probably is just positioning for the Grimes deal, but he comes in federally, which by the way, I loved when Biden came out and said we're going to let anybody out that had,
I liked it.
marijuana.
Well, time out. Let me tell you why this is horseshit. No, I don't love it. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
It's pandering. It's fucking
optics, right?
Time out. So,
is it optics?
So first of all, do you know how many people got released from jail, Bubba? Zero. There's not a single person sitting in federal prison right now for possession of marijuana. Number two, all time, 6,400 people have been charged federally with possession, and most of them were in connection with much larger crimes, okay? So the pardoning is total and complete horseshit. What he needs to do is change it from at the very least, the least fucking Biden can do on this issue is change it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2 drug so that it can now then legally be tested and medically tested to prove federally all of the benefits that it does.
That can be done with an executive order right now, today.
There's some question over the legality of it because it has to be based. If as a Schedule 1 drug, it is that there is no medically viable use for the substance.
Right.
So federally, the problem with that is it's a catch-22. Because it's a Schedule 1 drug, they cannot do any medical testing with it.
Right.
So the federal government itself cannot. But what they can do is rely on all the other fucking testing done around the world and in states
Israel's done it for 30 years. Israel has the best data. So let me give you an idea how screwed our federal government is. You ready? So here's the Schedule 1 drugs. Cannabis, heroin, LSD, ecstasy, and psilocybin. Those are the ones that they say are the worst drugs there are.
Cocaine's not even on there.
No, Schedule 2 is cocaine,
fentanyl,
meth, Oxycontin, Adderall, Ritalin, Vicodin. Schedule 3 is codeine, ketamine, anabolic steroids, and testosterone. So you're telling me that cannabis and psilocybin are worse than all the rest of those?
Even testosterone.
That's insane. That is completely insane.
Joe Biden
could change that today if he wanted
and could have, and that would have more of an impact for our country than this optic bullshit. And the only reason he threw that optic bullshit down there is because he's going to cut a deal for Grimes, and he wants to be able to say,
"I did this,
I did this, and this, and this, and I decriminalized
I talked about
it."
Griner. I wasn't sure. I was like, what, Grimes?
Grimer.
Isn't that
the WNBA girl?
Yeah, I got you.
So they're going to go and listen. What she did and the crime and the amount of time she got for what she did is ridiculous. But that being said,
that's their country.
That's their fucking country.
That's why I'm not going to Russia.
That's why, and that's how they stayed true to their form. They didn't variate. Other people have gotten the same sentence for the same shit.
That's right, Bubba. You don't bring marijuana over to Russia.
But he's going to bring her back in a big PR willy. Meanwhile, he could have really, really made a positive effect.
You know what he could have done?
They're totally laying the groundwork for that. They're saying that she's medically not doing well and all this bullshit. You're absolutely right. The real thing is so you got to understand politicians and political parties. None of them, not a one actually cares about you. So if you're a Mark and a Rube and you think that they do, then I've got nothing for you. But if you're smart enough to know that they're both wings of the same bird, then you'll understand that they view everything as a poker chip.
Yep.
And they're not going to play that poker chip or whatever you want to say. They're not going to play that right now because they don't have to. Because the numbers for them in this election, if they thought it would make a difference and let them keep the House and keep the Senate, if they did this, they would do it in a heartbeat. But they don't want that. They don't need it because they've already got the abortion thing.
Because the right thing to do would be is to take everybody that's in federal prison for a non-violent drug offense only.
Yeah, even if you're just trafficking marijuana.
Yeah, non-violent. There's no violence. Nobody got physically hurt. Because let's be honest, all of us that have bought drugs, we did it on our own free will. But we needed somebody to sell it to us.
And nobody got hurt.
And nobody got hurt. If nobody got hurt and you're in prison for a non-violent drug offense, everybody should be pardoned and let out right now. And the war on drugs should come to an end, and Biden can do that with an executive order today if he wanted to.
And it would absolutely help some of the very negative data he's getting back right now.
Correct.
I mean,
And
there's no downfall to that other than some uptight people from Indiana, that want to continue to be marijuana mics.
I don't know the exact numbers, but I think 70% of the American public supports marijuana.
It's almost
being
up to 80.
legalized.
It's almost up to 80.
So this is just. But see,
Grandparents Magazine did a poll, and 90% of old geezers said it should be legal.
Look around at these issues and realize who does the government actually work for? Because if 80% of Americans support marijuana being legalized, and 70% of Americans support some form of abortion being legal, what the fuck are we doing?
Our government works for three basic industries right now: big pharma, big tech, and the military-industrial complex.
Yep.
That's who owns our government. And it's not going to change because a guy like Mitch McConnell has $400 million after being a senator for decades. Tell me how that happened.
Hello, who's this?
Bob, it's Brian from Philly. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, Brian. How are you, buddy?
My condolences, sir.
Yeah, well, how about them Eagles?
You live in Philly.
The Eagles are partying.
I don't live in fucking Philly. I've moved out of there 20 years.
Brian, let's not get a confrontation. Let's get this thing done.
The Eagles are partying, buddy. So
I have been on the air for fucking 7 hours. I ain't got time for chit
I
chat
lived in
bullshit.
Philly
Let's
for
go.
20 years. I'm in Delray Beach,
All right.
Florida.
Brian. Ask your question.
This show is supposed to be controversial. It's all kumbaya now. You guys agree on everything.
Hey, you want to see how controversial it can get? See you later, B. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, I'll leave.
No, him.
I'm joking.
Him.
No, I mean, we're discussing issues that are when you go issue by issue and don't go, I'm on the red team.
How much you agree on.
What you got to understand, and what this show should illustrate to all of you, is they need you to be on the red team or the blue team, because if you're on the red team or the blue team, you're not paying attention to what's going on for real.
Yeah, you're cheering for.
I'm on the don't give a fuck team.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the only team you should be on, because all you can do in this life.
I'm on the me team.
Is carve out a bubble where you can enjoy your life, because no politician cares about you. Brian's absolutely right about that, and they don't care about you at all. They care about lining their own pockets and keeping themselves in power. So with that knowledge, what you should do is find a way to walk between the raindrops and carve out your own bubble in life and live life the way that you want on your terms.
I'll give you a perfect example of how hypocritical both parties are. Dana Loesch gets on the air and says she doesn't give a shit what Herschel Walker's done in his own life. This is about controlling the Senate, so we need that seat. On the same flip side, the Democrats are talking about how mentally, cognitively compromised Herschel Walker appears to be with his inability to put together thoughtful sentences and speak in any way eloquently.
Have they looked at their
president?
president?
Then you've got John Fetterman. Well, the president and John Fetterman, who is recovering from a stroke. Okay, if you can't be hypocritical and question. But the reality is, none of it matters. It's about power. It's about control. It's about having that Senate seat. All of that is more important than anything else to both sides.
And like, for instance, I'll show you a lie that Joe Biden told Jake Tapper this week, and he knows it's a lie. He's like, I'm going to get an assault weapons ban done. You need 60 senators to even get that vote to the floor.
Well, you could get the assault weapons ban done if the Democrats got up to 52 senators and got rid of the filibuster.
But that's not going to happen.
But that's not going to happen either, because that's a game they don't want to play.
No.
That's a card they don't want to play.
Because as a Democrat, just like, see, the Republicans loved being able to bitch about the abortion issue and say, hey, we don't have 60 senators, we can't get it to the floor, Roe v. Wade, nothing we can do. They love bitching about it. Democrats are going to love bitching about assault weapons, but go, hey, Mitch McConnell's not going to get it to the floor, so, nothing we can do about it.
But you know what they can do is raise money with those issues.
That's what I'm saying. That's what they're going to do. They're going to raise money, and they're not going to do anything. And if you're a Democrat, like, I am not for an assault weapons ban. I'm not for any gun control at all. I know I'm not where most of America is, but that's my position. But however, if that is your position, if you do want an assault weapons ban, Joe Biden promising you that he's going to do that is a lie.
Yeah.
There's no way he can do it.
Nope, not right now. Not without a drastic change in things.
Mitch
and
McConnell
even then,
would never even let it get out of committee.
Even then, it would never happen, because they never want what happened in Roe v. Wade. That's the problem. They don't want that. Why do you think both parties were freaked out by that? Because that's a fucking fundraising. They don't want issues resolved for Americans. Okay? That's not what they want. That's not what governing is about. This is a WWE storyline.
Yep.
Okay? And they can't have conclusions. The feud goes on forever. It doesn't matter. You win by disqualification this time. Then the next time I run in and you get counted out. And it's all a fucking work, man. It's all a work.
You've got to keep The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin going as long as you can. I mean, that's just the name of the game.
Yep.
And that's how they stay in power, and that's how they stay rich.
And it saddens me that we're allowing them to tear us apart as a society and as a country with this. That's the part that's most disheartening to me, is that, people take their shots at me, and that's fine. I'm a snowflake. I'm this, I'm that.
You do fuck with me a lot, though.
Well, but that's
I was talking to a guy the other day on the radio.
I haven't fucked with you once today.
I know, but you usually fuck with me so much, buddy.
On another show that I do, I was talking to a guy that's one of the guests on that show, and he said that he doesn't talk.
You'd be full time here if you didn't fuck with me so much.
he said he doesn't talk to anybody that doesn't share the same interests as him and the same opinion as him.
Yeah, you're in an echo chamber.
I was like, how? That's a boring life. That's a boring existence. Like, I want to talk to people that disagree with me. I want to go have some back and forth. And sometimes, you know what? I change my mind because I get new facts.
Right.
I like changing my mind. I like being a flip-flopping motherfucker.
Well, it's not changing your mind. It's called growing and evolving as a human being, Look, and people can say what they want about Howard, and he has changed. I expect people to change over 40 years. I expect people to grow and to change their opinions and their philosophies and their thoughts on things. Regina, I've known her for about 8 years now, 9 years, and she's changed a lot in that time, and her views have changed.
She's a wonderful lawyer still.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's one of my favorite attorneys.
I can give a fuck about you, but I love her.
She is one of of all the lawyers that have represented
Don't talk too good about her, because he'll get all fucking crazy about it. He gets all jealous.
Hey.
No, I don't.
Gina just did a great job for me when I was her client.
Somebody just asked in chat, do I support Black Lives Matter? I never support. I support that. I don't support an organization that is out for power and money. Okay,
all right, hold
number
on.
one.
I got something to fuck all that. Listen to this. So, guys, I was watching the hurricane news. I think I'm the only person in the world that may have caught this.
When he says, don't fuck with the Biden?
Yeah.
This was big news.
Oh.
This is like...
I mean, he is Irish. I mean, and I try to tell everybody this.
Hold on.
You're the last person in the world who caught this.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I've been to Indiana. I've been on vacation. I've been to cops' funerals. I've been in big fucking nut pulls. And so I'm watching this, and I'm on my computer, and I go back and I tell Erica, I think that he just said, don't fuck with the Biden to this old timer. And I played it and played it and played it. And so then I kept it on my computer and screenshotted it. And then, so I'm a bunch of people. All of America caught this.
You are just like the character in Dumb and Dumber when he walking out of the diner and reads the headline that says, we just landed on the moon. You're so late, dude. This was like a big national, they wanted to make a controversy on it because he used a bad word.
And once you explain this, I'm going to explain something to you about Biden. And
let me just play real fast. And so, Brian, I thought I had like a real big fucking whodunit here. Hold on. And I even taped it on my phone. So watch. Hold on. Right there. I turned to Eric. I go, I think he just said fuck.
He did.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No one fucks with Biden.
He said no one fucks with a Biden.
No one fucks with Biden. Goddamn right.
All right, so this hot mic was caught by the entire world, Brian.
Yep. And breaking news: a plane just hit one of the twin towers.
Oh my god.
You know what? That's not even funny. That is not even funny. But Britt will get up right now and says, I'll tell you right now, that's the work of Osama bin Laden. I can remember like he was nothing. Britt stood up, and the TV was facing him because he was sitting right here like this.
Yep.
And he goes, I'll tell you right now, that's the work of one Osama bin Laden. And we go, shut up, Brent. Remember?
Nailed it.
You were the first person in the world to audibly, journalistically earmark that.
Yep.
Nobody, I mean, this was within seconds
52
of
seconds.
the first one hitting.
Yep.
And Brent goes, tell you, in full Brent Hatley fashion. And we're all like, who?
Who?
And then he got into
Al-Qaeda, yep.
I remember Kelly calling me and telling me, like, she's broke. I was getting dressed for work.
This is Brian's ex-wife and his girlfriend at the time.
And who was...
I always try to get below me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, and she calls me up and she's like, a plane just hit the Twin Towers, and on the news they're saying they don't know what happened, but Brent said that this is terrorism. And then as
you probably talk shit about Brent like you do everybody else.
I did not talk shit about Brent. I respect all of you. I respect all of you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and nailed it.
And for people freaking out, the joke wasn't 9/11. The joke was Bubba being so behind on news. That's the joke there. I'm not making light of 3,000 people losing their lives. This is the problem, though. Is people don't understand context and humor anymore.
Or hyperbole.
This is snowflake society.
I know, and people take everything I say like I'm being completely serious, which I'm almost never. But let me tell you something about Joe Biden that you need to understand that hot mic illustrates. There was a mobster back in the day. His name was Vinny the Chin Gigante. He was the boss of the Genovese crime family, and
distantly related to Jeff Cheragante.
Yeah,
did you know that?
Yeah, he is.
No, for real.
He is. Yeah.
So Vinny the Chin used to walk around Manhattan in his bathrobe and babble like he was crazy, but he really had a big house in another neighborhood where he lived. But he would walk around that neighborhood that he ran and acted like he was crazy, and he never went to jail. Joe Biden's pulling the Vinny the Chin deal on all of you who think that he doesn't know what's going on. He knows what's going on. He's very sharp politically. And if you think that he doesn't, he's been a mean, vindictive person since he got into the Senate. And he is still that person today.
Well, I think he is slipping cognitively.
We all do as we get to that age. But
right.
But
I'm slipping. I thought that story was something I'd fucking snow.
But in his mind, what I'm telling you, deep in his mind, is he's with it.
I would have loved for you to have tweeted that. Well, you can't tweet right now, but maybe soon, if Elon and the Russians can finish their purchase of Twitter.
Now, how would that go? Like, would we just try to ask for a reinstatement?
He said he's going to reinstate all banned accounts. That's rumor has it that if you've been banned, he will reinstate you.
But not the bots and sock puppets, though. He says that he's going to get rid of those.
That's a lot of work to go through each account and determine who was legitimate.
The AI can.
The AI can do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brian, the bottom line is we had a check mark.
Yeah,
and, I mean the BTLS radio.
And
we turned it in, before Caveman lost that and got it, and we turned it into the Bubba Army. It was check marked.
And he wants to.
I think it's going to go through now, though. Don't you guys think?
I think so.
I don't. I think this was all him offering to buy it again was just to delay the trial. He thought that this would drag out for a long time. And so this is not, and that's why Twitter has not agreed to the stay in the case. They said, nope, we don't think he has, and it's because they don't. As soon as he announced it, a couple of the people who were who had committed to help fund him buy it, had already announced that they're pulling it. They're not in it anymore. And it wasn't a substantial sum. It was like 1 point something billion, but it wasn't an inconsequential sum. I don't think he's legitimately looking to purchase it. I think he's trying to drag out this lawsuit and the discovery around it as long as he can. And I don't blame him strategically, but this is not a move to actually buy Twitter right now. He may ultimately, but in this moment, it ain't happening in the next 6 months.
No.
It might not, but you know what?
It might be a good buy for him, though.
But what I do like that he wants to do, he wants to add a red check mark for everybody. You have to get verified. So, like, for instance, when you do an OnlyFans account, you have to be verified. Like, there is a whole verification program that you go through to verify that you're a real human being, and he wants to add a red check mark, and then you can filter your Twitter to see only people that are actual verified people.
And maybe you can't, all these, hack fucks just can't have their buddies sign it up, 15, 20, 30, accounts. If you look at there's this one radio guy that I know that if you look at his followers, it's like Jim 685 new 26584, and they follow the same 15 people. and then it'll be Rhonda 9248565, and they follow the same 15 people, and then it'll be Brian 6258429, and they follow the same 15 people.
Right.
It's like
it's a big farce. It's a big farce.
It really is.
It's you gotta. Everybody can look this up, and there's some great YouTube videos on it. It's called the dead internet theory. And they guesstimate that Twitter really only has 16 million actual real users.
I believe it. It's all. Look, the Russians have infiltrated it. If you
so
look
have the Chinese, so have the North Koreans.
But the Russians are definitely at the forefront of trying to shape the narrative in America.
I agree, but the Chinese also they have a different. The Chinese have a different agenda. They have whole military units dedicated to this.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
But they have a different goal in mind than the Russians do. The Russians want to shape narrative and sow division. The Chinese, with their 17 AI companies,
they want to gather your data.
They want to gather data.
TikTok.
And they want to become the world's most military and financial superpower.
It's not just TikTok. It's HTC. It's Huawei. It's OnePlus. It's all these tech companies that the Chinese are getting and trying to grow.
They have 17 multi-billion-dollar AI companies in China. 17.
Yeah.
And they have military units that work on this 24/7 on hacking our stuff. It is a serious issue.
Would we lose with China right now, militarily?
No,
not right now.
Not right now.
Not at the moment.
And maybe ask us that question again in 15 years.
Maybe they are working hard on it.
I mean, are they working on some Space Invader shit, like some really, really,
Yes. They're working.
Like
yes.
where have you seen those things where it's like they're like flies, but they're really drones, and they go in there and just decimate everything?
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes. And the Chinese are also working on an AI military type, for lack of a better word, robot for the battlefield. And then now, how do you do with that? Now you've got an AI and a robot making life and death decisions about pulling triggers. It's what the Chinese are up to is not good.
So they go and drop off, 200,000 of those on the floor in Miami,
right?
And they just march right on through, fucking blowing people away,
right. What do you do?
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, just my one shotgun and 3 AR-15s ain't gonna do shit against Johnny Robo, Willie.
Exactly.
You probably can't kill him.
Right.
Well, they're drones. I mean, you kill what?
Right.
It's not
no,
a
what
living
I'm saying,
creature.
I mean, you got to kill it before it kills you. So you got to kill that threat.
And think how much
damage. Right? You
just
can't not. I mean,
right.
If this fucking robot with a gun's coming at you, you're gonna try. I mean, you're gonna try to shoot it so it at least blows up and dewires itself before it fucking kills you, right?
Right. And now think about this: the Chinese are gonna armor these things, and they're gonna test it, and they're gonna have it ready. By the time they deploy it, it's not going to be good. The only good news we have is we're their number one customer, so you don't shoot your number one customer in the face. We owe them a lot of money. So
you know what? We need to keep borrowing more money from them.
Yeah, we're the like if you have your biggest number one customer.
I'm the president. I'd be like, man, let's just borrow more money from China to get more
but be more in debt because they're going to want to get their money back, but more they're going to want to kill us.
And like, listen, before you kill us, we owe you a lot of money. Let us pay you back some of this shit.
Right.
And then you string them along.
Money doesn't matter if they can devalue our currency.
Do you think that ever? Now, our country's only what? 250 years old. I mean, like, how old is our country?
Right about that.
Yep.
244.
All right,
248.
And in a relatively, that's really a small. That's a
sliver of time.
That's a cup of coffee in life.
Yes, we're a new country.
Right. I mean, probably one of the newest of the big countries, right? I mean, how old's Russia?
Oh my!
I mean, how old's Italy?
I mean,
how old's the UK?
Yeah.
How old's China? How old's Japan?
You're talking empires,
right? We're talking about at least thousands of years.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
All right, and we're a couple hundred.
Yes.
Do you think in our country's lifetime, although we've in the quick span of that short amount of time have really built in some pretty cool shit? I mean, like we're the superpower, I guess. Still, are we not?
We are.
Do you think there'll ever come a time that we could be invaded and lose, just like every other country in history has been?
The only
except for us.
I'll tell you why.
But hold on, aren't we the only country?
Invade...
Hold on. Aren't we the only country never to have been invaded on other than Pearl Harbor?
Well, technically, we were in the Mexican-American War.
Mexican-American War.
Okay, but I mean,
and the War of 1812.
Look at Russia and Ukraine. Look at how hard it is to go into a foreign country and occupy it
with people.
Now, and that's a country you border. Now add
and you look like those.
Yeah, yeah, and you have a shared similar background and history. Now put oceans in between that. It is almost impossible to invade and occupy the United States of America. The only way it could happen would be if all of Central America got together and came after us, or somebody went into Central America and took over that, and then tried and really had a hold.
That's going to be not a quick thing. So
it would have to be done with military grade robots and AI. You could not do it with people.
Yeah, you can't hold
there's
it
too many,
with humans.
There's too many people like us rolling around.
Right.
I mean, aren't we also the most heavily
we're
armed private sector
in the entire world? You're going to have to deal with the hillbillies and the rednecks. You're going to have to deal with the
thugs.
The inner city guys, and the black dudes are armed. You got to deal with like the Hispanic people.
Well,
They're
it's not
armed.
even that. It's
like every group of people in this country is armed.
But it's not even that. This is why the U.S. couldn't win in Vietnam. This is why the U.S. couldn't ultimately truly win in Afghanistan. Is you are sending in people that are paid or forced to go and fight.
Yep.
These people are fighting for their home, for their country, for their family. The skin in the game. That's why the drone, the AI stuff is scary, because those robots are fighting for what they're programmed to fight for.
Right.
And so there's
no human emotion or intellect
they aren't going to
involved.
get hardened on the presumably that could change, but they're most likely not going to get hardened on the battlefield.
Right.
AI may become sentient and
it could.
But won't we have it too?
We do. We're number
I mean,
one.
if we
We're
know-
number one in the world in AI, and China's a close number two, and everybody else is way behind.
I understand, but if they're AI Willie, then we're AI Willie too, aren't we?
We do have a lot of AI that works.
Like,
for
you
us
want to
stuff.
drop off 100,000 motherfuckers in San Antonio? We'll drop off 200,000 motherfuckers in your country.
Yeah, and that's the
with a bomb chaser.
Yeah, exactly. So invading the United States would be difficult, if not impossible. And since the invention of gunpowder, nobody has really been successful at invading a country and winning. Like Sun Tzu in The Art of War says, when you travel to somebody else's terrain, you're already at a distinct disadvantage.
Yeah, you're not
like when you in the NFL when you get them when you're already a +3 as a home team.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
Correct. And like when you go to, like Brian points out, you go to a country like Afghanistan and say we're going to win in Afghanistan. Where are those people going to go? Detroit? I mean, like, where are they going?
Yeah.
They're going to drive you out. If the Chinese used people to invade our country and there was Chinese troops walking through our neighborhood, what would we do? We would pick them off one at a time,
right,
every single day until they left.
Yeah.
I go, Hadley, can I come over to your apartment and pick off some soldiers?
Yeah, we get right on the roof as soon as they're coming by, because they don't know, they're going to wander around.
They're not looking for a
lost.
fat guy and a bald guy.
Yep, they're going to be lost. They're not going to know what neighborhood they're in, and we're just going to, okay,
That's
we got
where
that
Brian's
going
to call us up and tell us to bring some of our fucking redneck guns over there, aren't you, Brian?
I've got plenty of weapons around me.
You
I'm
do?
not worried about it.
What do you got? You got you an AR? You got your shotgun?
I don't disclose what I have publicly
whatever.
because I don't want people to know. Well, maybe it's a high-powered nuclear slingshot.
Final question, Brian, goes to you. Then we got to get going, man. I'm late. I mean, I've been a fuck.
You've run out of gas.
I am running.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I am out. This is me right now.
Oh no. He's slowing down on the backstrap.
That's me. What up with that lightning guy that might have some type of
Ian Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean, I've not really looked into it. I've certainly not talked about it. It's a very local. Well, it's not a local story. It's kind of a national deal.
I'm not familiar with the story. What are we
Brian, set it up if you could, please, and give us the payoff on the deal too as we ride out into the sunset.
Ian Cole is one of the defensemen that the Lightning acquired to fill out their 6-man defensive roster. He's an established NHL player,
long time. I think a former
long-time
Blue
defender. Carolina Hurricanes is where they got him from.
Good guy.
Decent player, probably a replacement level type player, $3 million a year. Savvy veteran type player. You lose McDonough, you got to replace him with something. Ian Cole comes in. So I won't say completely anonymous. Somebody named Emily and some numbers behind it posted a a somewhat detailed post on, I don't know what it was, Instagram or Twitter or whatever, outlining how she had been groomed from high school. And had been engaged in sexual relations with Ian Cole while he was in the NHL as a grown man, and says that she has receipts on it and everything like that. And so the Lightning and the NHL have placed him on leave while they and law enforcement presumably investigate the allegations of this poster online. What has come out, some other stuff about Ian Cole is apparently, and this again, I don't rush to judgment on any of these things.
Yeah, we got to be very careful with this.
No,
we're not. We're just throwing out what's been alleged. We don't have any. We don't know what's going to happen or if it even happened. Go ahead, Brian.
I have no idea, and I'm just reporting what is out there. Is that he also had some affairs and run-ins with reporters while he was with Carolina, cheating on his wife. That.
Not my business.
That again is not criminal,
non-factor,
but
not my business.
That does get into some character stuff, and when we're talking about multi-million and billion-dollar industries, that matters to the organization. So
especially a guy like Vinnick who runs a real clean ship, like he's got a very good reputation.
I don't think Ian Cole will ever play a minute of hockey for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my prediction, regardless and irrespective of what the findings of this investigation show.
So here's my thoughts on things like this. I have no idea whether these allegations are true or not, first. Secondly, I can think of 3 off the top of my head that ended up not to be true. Number 1 is Marilyn Manson.
The Duke lacrosse team?
The Duke lacrosse case.
Oh, that's the worst one.
And then Maynard, who's the singer from Tool, had almost this same type of a fake account, accuse him of this, and he was able to prove that he wasn't even there in that city at that time.
So, Brian, this is an account that's not verified or anything? Or?
Well, they're working on it. And this is the proper process here, right? You
take it seriously, but
take it seriously. You investigate it. You do not rush to judgment. The Lightning have not cut him. They've simply put him on leave. The NHL is investigating it. He's suspended with pay, so it's not like he's being hurt financially, although obviously this will impact him in the long road.
If it's true.
It is, so looking at it, and still not rushing to any judgment, not casting any judgment, but looking at it is, Ian Cole's a pretty fucking random dude in the NHL to be levying these allegations against. So what are we left with? Number 1, either the allegations are true, or number 2, somebody with a very serious axe to grind with Ian Cole just levied some really
any public figure has that
false, harmful allegations against him. Those are the only 2 viable possibilities.
Any public figure has somebody with serious axes to grind against them. No matter how small you may or may not think they are. That absolutely goes on with almost every single public figure.
Oh, no, I get it, which is why I'm acknowledging it as a possibility. I'm just saying you wouldn't think of all the
Brian,
players.
This could even be like, Ian Cole's lawnmower guy in Carolina feels if he stiffed him the last 2 months of the bill, and he has his fucking cousin set up a sock puppet account and fucking ruins his world. Now, that's the one side of the thing. The other side is I'm not trying to underscore that potentially, something like this could very well have happened. But that being said, I mean, the internet and social media makes everybody fucking Superman, and we all get fucked by it. And very rarely. I mean, I hope, I don't know.
Well, hockey, the NHL, which has been squeaky clean to this point, is kind of having their day of scandal. The Chicago Blackhawks had a pretty massive scandal where a lot of heads rolled, a lot of careers were ended, and rightfully so, because that was absolutely covered up criminal behavior.
Yes.
That was bad.
Team Canada's hockey program is it's not a big story in America right now, but there is a lot of heat there, and there's an investigation into a lot of potential sexual batteries and misconduct within Team Canada, and now this is coming home to the NHL again with this incident. So it's funny because when you think of scandal in leagues, and the NHL is the last league in the world that comes to mind.
So agreed, and I just would like to point this out. Again, everybody be careful about allegations being thrown around. I mean, I really there's a guy named Dave Ellefson, and he's the former bass player now for Megadeth. And they said that he was quote unquote grooming a girl. Well, he was video sexting with her, video chat sexting with her, and the girl was 20 years old. So now you've got a girl that's of age, and he's video sex chatting with her. He's not even in the same room with her, or the same state with her, and he loses his job in Megadeth for that. So I am just, until I see proof that anybody has done something wrong.
And that's not even really that wrong.
That's not right. He didn't do anything illegal.
If it was consensual.
It was. The girl said, she wrote a long post, the girl that Dave Ellefson was video chatting with. She wrote a long post saying that it was all consensual. She was an adult, and she reached out to him, and he still got fired from Megadeth for that.
Yeah. So the thing that's the account is Emily Smith _Smith 33333.
Oh, God.
It's it was just created in September, and it's the only tweet that this account made. Now,
highly suspect.
The knowing that you're doing something like this,
I think the media reporting this is even a bit irresponsible.
Well, the reason it's being reported is because it was made public and somebody
By
picked
who?
up on it, and the Lightning suspended him with pay.
But who made it public? And I think it's irresponsible to make an allegation like this public without talking to an actual human being.
Right, and I don't think they're looking into it. As far as the statement is concerned, I'm trying to pull it up so I can read the exact statement. So here it is. So this is what this poster, which they will be able to find her
because like you have in the Marilyn Manson case, still to this day, the only person that's brought a case is Marilyn Manson.
So she starts out, I want to first warn anyone reading this that some of these details are disturbing and may be triggering for victims of grooming and emotional sexual abuse.
Yeah. These are some buzzwords here.
It is taken.
Hold on, Ryan. Those are very buzzwordy.
Well, again, you're not going to rush to judgment either way, right? So let's hear this out. And then you
don't know. I find it to be irresponsible for somebody to.
It has taken me years to find the courage to come forward, which she hasn't had. Come forward. And I have decided to speak out anonymously because sadly I feel that this is the only way I can be fully transparent without harassment and retaliation. I was groomed by Ian Cole for 4 years, starting when I was a minor in high school. Now, what's interesting about this is she does not give her age at the time that it started. She doesn't give any additional context. So as somebody reading this skeptically, I'm like, why is there not like when I was 16 or and maybe the reason is she doesn't want so much details coming out that people are able to identify.
And that word groom is a catch-all.
But my first sexual encounter with Ian was when I was a minor in high school. He had been playing in the NHL for a few years at that point. He was very well aware of my age and that I was a teen in high school. He pressured me into having sex with him that night, even though I made it very clear I did not want to. Well, she's a minor; he's an adult. There's pressure is irrelevant.
I'm picking out the buzzwords.
Well, these are victim words, right?
Because this sounds like it was written by an attorney.
Right.
He pressured me into having sex, even though made it very clear I did not want to. He would not take no for an answer. I was too young to understand at the time that pressuring someone into sex was sexual assault. After meeting for the first time, Ian sought out my number from a friend and continuously asked to see each other again. He would frequently pressure me to do things without my consent that I had made clear to him I was not okay with, like refusing to wear condoms. The one time he did wear a condom, he used it as a means to humiliate me by saying he would only wear it because you're probably riddled with STDs. When I was in high school, he would ask me to leave school and meet up with him in a hotel room the NHL was paying for in my school uniform. On a few occasions, he asked me to bring other girls from my high school with me, which I refused to do. He would make derogatory, misogynistic comments. He bragged about all the other girls he was sleeping with and show me their angry text to him while laughing about how they thought they were dating. He would say how much he appreciated that I was the only one who understood that he couldn't do commitment and how he deeply cared about me. It's obvious now he showed me these texts to manipulate me to be desperate for his approval and less likely to speak out. I was targeted by him because he knew I was an inexperienced teen who could be easily taken advantage of in this way. When I got to college, I found out he had slept with a girl who was a minor at my former high school. Not only was he grooming me, but he was now doing this to other girls. When I confronted him with how disturbed I was, he quickly became angry and dismissive. He accused me of only being angry because I thought we were in a relationship. It was another attempt to manipulate me. Years later, one of Ian's NHL teammates told me that he had bragged about sexual assaulting me as a minor the first night we first met to their teammates. He was able to recall details to me that only Ian and I would have known about, meaning that many on his team were aware he was involved with a minor. I felt violated all over again. Ian felt emboldened to emotionally and sexually abuse me and other women because the NHL fosters a culture of misogyny. The NHL needs to hold themselves and their players accountable for creating and enabling an environment of misogynistic and predatory behavior. Those who defend his character are the ones who have enabled him to do this for so long and know very well of his abusive behavior toward women. Anyone who truly knows Ian and the way he talks about women will not be surprised by any of this. Coming forward as a victim of grooming and abuse is extremely difficult. It's easy to have shame and blame yourself that you should have known better, but then I remember that I was taken advantage of as a minor by a fully grown adult man. As a teen, I didn't even know what grooming was. When you're young and this happens to you, you don't realize you are a victim. As I got older and built self-esteem, I started to fully understand the extent of what happened to me and that this could never have been consensual. I don't think Ian ever expected me to have the courage to speak out. It is painful to have to relive it, but I hope that this encourages more people to speak out about their own experiences of grooming and abuse. I'm truly proud of myself, and I am finally able to have the courage to come forward with the truth.
Well, I hope a law enforcement agency investigates this.
Finds the disgruntled ex that he might have been cheating on, of-age woman that has tried to ruin his life. This screams of a scorned affair.
It sounds like an attorney wrote that.
Well, yeah, there's a typo in there, but yeah, maybe.
It really, I mean, the
Brian,
language.
you're an attorney. It's very
Well,
attorney.
we don't know who this girl is, right?
We have no idea.
At this stage in her life, he's been in the NHL, I think, 11 seasons.
Did you
he
see
could have been in there for 3.
Did you see the Manti Te'o documentary? It could be some dude.
She could be 24 and she could be in law school at this point. We don't know who this person is, which is why we
don't even
know
if it's a woman.
Brian,
we
can I
don't
ask you a
draw
question?
any conclusions.
None.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Brian, if they cannot find the identity of this person, then does that let him off the hook? I think it should.
I don't see how you could take away somebody's livelihood based upon an anonymous post with no further or additional evidence. The NHL is investigating it. They've already interviewed Ian Cole. They've probably are in the process of interviewing former teammates and other individuals to try and ascertain what, if any, truth there is.
It sounds like a shakedown to me.
So it should be taken seriously, number one. And number two, I think media outlets reporting it need to be very careful.
It needs to be taken seriously for what the allegations are, but skeptically until there's a modicum, an ounce of proof that it may be true.
Absolutely, you're right.
Right.
You're
In this
100% right.
in this country, contrary to what Mark Ober says, you are innocent until you are proven guilty.
In this case, you said your office deemed it a crime, but in fact, a jury.
Anytime I can get this in, Hatley, I gotta get it.
Correct.
Well, we can get very philosophical. If you choose to, the jury verdict says not guilty.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't say innocent.
Yes, despite what the state attorney of Hillsborough County at that time said, you are innocent until you are proven guilty by a jury of your peers or you plead guilty in front of a judge, and that plea is accepted. Until then, yes, you are innocent. That's how the country works.
That's how the country's supposed to work.
Thank you for the correction.
It doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Now, is Gina feeling better?
Yes, she finally kicked it. She was able to get
just right when Tom left town again.
She's actually, I think, going to visit him.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She's flying in, I think. Now, when we're
set for the 27th.
Gina and Brian, the 27th. And that's Brent, too, right?
Yeah, I'm in it's in my calendar for the 27th.
Yep, perfect. Hatley, do you need me? For a few?
For a few, yes.
Brian, thank you for being cool to me today, buddy.
You know what? I'm always
If
cool
you were
to
cooler to me, you would have been like full-time by now.
So if I'm cooler to you, I'll get back on?
No.
Okay.
We'll see you guys later.